Welcome to Hero Villains. Who do you think would win in Etrigan versus Hulk? The clash of hell and unlimited rage. The Hulk, the embodiment of unlimited rage within Bruce Banner's body, is one of the most powerful entities ever to exist. Hulk's strength increases with his rage, with virtually no apparent limits. He can lift massive objects, withstand extraordinary damage, and regenerate rapidly. Beyond sheer strength, Hulk possesses incredible adaptability, making him even more dangerous over time. When his rage reaches its peak, Hulk is nearly unstoppable, turning any battlefield into a destructive nightmare. Etrigan is an ancient demon summoned from hell and bound to the human Jason blood. He possesses not only superior physical strength, but also dark magic powers, capable of burning enemies with hellfire and manipulating supernatural energy. Etrigan has incredibly fast regeneration, making him nearly immortal against ordinary attacks. His intelligence is also a formidable weapon, combining the cunning of a demon with centuries of combat experience, making him an extremely dangerous opponent in any battle. Before we delve into the analysis, please subscribe and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you very much! The Hulk has long been referred to as a symbol of absolute power, an entity whose limits seem non-existent. The concept of infinite associated with him is not an exaggeration. When it comes to pure strength, even Superman or Kal-El would struggle to match him in a direct confrontation. Hulk isn't just strong, he's the embodiment of relentless power increase, an explosive cycle with no end in sight. Hulk isn't just an unconscious rage, but a symbol of power beyond control. He's destined to be the strongest, not because he's always stronger than any opponent from the start, but because he'll become stronger than anyone who dares stand before him. What makes Hulk so terrifying lies in his power-generating mechanism. The angrier he gets, the stronger he becomes. If an opponent is superior, Hulk will evolve during the battle, surpassing his previous limits and establishing a new one. This isn't just physical strength, but also a reflection of Bruce Banner's inner self, where pent-up anger, pain, and psychological trauma become an inexhaustible source of energy. Over the years, this source of power has been explained in various ways, from gamma mutations and psychological disorders to connections with ancient dark forces. And this is what makes Hulk a living paradox, an entity where limits aren't something to be broken, but simply something that didn't exist in the first place. When Hulk appears, space seems to tremble with each step. The air feels heavy and compressed, and every opponent understands that they are not just facing a strong individual, but the very concept of power pushed to its limit. Hulk's power isn't just limitless, it's proven by a series of victories against some of the most formidable opponents in the universe. He once defeated Galaxy Master, an entity capable of destroying entire planets with pure energy. When facing Gladiator, a warrior renowned for his strength dependent on willpower and belief, Hulk was still able to overwhelm him, proving that his rage is not easily subdued by any pride. He even defeated Armageddon, an enemy who once made even Silver Surfer wary. Even Scar, Hulk's son and a warrior with similar bloodline and strength, couldn't defeat Hulk in a direct battle, demonstrating Hulk's ability to overcome any challenge, even when facing opponents with blood ties or comparable powers. Most notably, his encounter with the One Below All, an entity of absolute destructive power, was remarkable. While the victory was only temporary and based on eliminating the opponent from the battlefield, it was still an incredible achievement. In combat, sometimes simply pushing an opponent out of the fray is enough to determine the outcome. Hulk doesn't need permanent victory, he just needs victory at the right moment. Furthermore, Hulk has defeated formidable opponents like Fin Fang Foom and Juggernaut. Although Juggernaut's strength is sometimes debated in comparison to other entities, he remains an almost unstoppable force once he charges forward. Yet, Hulk was able to stand firm and overcome him. Hulk defeated Onslaught, an entity possessing a combination of psychic and physical strength beyond the norm. This is something very few, if any others, have been able to do. Looking back on his entire journey, each of Hulk's victories wasn't just a battle, but a milestone etched into his legend. Immortal Hulk isn't simply a stronger version of Hulk, but a living nightmare emerging from the shadows, wielding almost unstoppable power. While he might reach the pure power levels of Thor, Blue Marvel, or Sentry at certain moments, his overall strength remains among the top tier in the entire universe. The terrifying aspect isn't just his strength, but the fact that almost no one can truly stop him. Even godlike warriors like Thor or Jane Foster's version of Mighty Thor couldn't halt his progress. When facing an entire Avengers team, Immortal Hulk showed no signs of slowing down. He advanced like a raging green wave, crushing any attempt to hinder him. Names like Captain Glory, Mentacle, Enigma in his pod armor, Cannonball, Lightning, Iron Hulk, Vision, Wonder Man, Thor, Hercules, Rogue, and Voyager all fell before him. Some couldn't even resist, others exerted their full strength, but only managed to slow him down a few steps before being completely overwhelmed. Their most powerful attacks, capable of leveling a battlefield, became meaningless when they touched the Immortal Hulk. Sometimes they only slowed him down for a brief moment, sometimes they left no trace at all. The Immortal Hulk himself once unleashed a gamma-ray burst powerful enough to obliterate an entire mountain, a clear testament to the level of destruction he could create. Remarkably, this feat was accomplished when he wasn't in perfect condition, his body weakened by the effects of ultraviolet radiation. Hulk became more terrifying than anyone else. If, even when weakened, he can still cause such destruction, how far would he go in his intact state? Each step he takes shakes space. Each punch carries the feeling of impending apocalypse. No longer a mere hero or monster, Hulk exists as a warning that there are powers in this universe not meant to be controlled, but only to be desperately delayed. Hulk's skin is not only thick, but almost every attack becomes meaningless. He can stand firm at the epicenter of destruction, from large-scale energy catastrophes to attacks powerful enough to shake an entire planet. Even Human Torch's Nova Blast or Galactus's terrifying energy couldn't bring Hulk down. Hulk once survived an explosion created by Ultron, an energy powerful enough to soften and control adamantium. Ares' spear shattered upon contact with his body, while Hawkeye's arrow couldn't even penetrate his eyeballs, considered the weakest point of many creatures. Even the Dragon Fang, a weapon that once easily pierced tough warriors like John Steele, was powerless against the Hulk. The Hulk's survival abilities are remarkable. He can fight in oxygen-deficient environments, adapt to harsh space conditions, and even engage in direct combat in outer space without weakening. When facing Thanos, even though his flesh was burned to the bone, the Hulk recovered almost instantly and continued attacking as if unharmed. A direct blow to the chest or devastating blows only momentarily slowed him down. The Hulk even withstood the power of Emma Frost, who possessed a portion of the Phoenix Force, without showing any signs of damage. The Hulk's strength, speed, regeneration, and durability all increased exponentially. Hulk is no longer simply a warrior, but the embodiment of immortality. Each heartbeat resounds like a war drum, each step crushes all laws of physics. Facing him is not just confronting an indestructible body, but a will that never surrenders, a rage that, the more suppressed, the more violently it erupts, sweeping away all hope of its enemies into nothingness. I really hope you will subscribe to the channel. It will help us a lot, and you are the best person ever. Thank you so much! Now let's talk about Etrigan. Etrigan is not just an ordinary demon, but the Prince of Hell, an ancient entity bound to a human named Jason Blood. This bond has lasted for over a millennium, traveling together across Earth and into the darkest depths of Hell. A complex relationship exists between them, a mix of reluctant allies and irreconcilable adversaries. This internal conflict makes Etrigan an unpredictable entity, for while often siding with justice, his loyalty has never been truly unwavering. Etrigan's origins only add to his fearsome nature. In some Flashpoint instances, he connects with Trigon through Belial, an entity with the bloodline of a demon king. This implicitly confirms that Etrigan is not only powerful, but also belongs to one of the most powerful lineages in Hell. That bloodline not only bestowed upon him strength, but also ferocity, a fighting instinct, and a burning desire for dominance. In terms of strength, Etrigan far surpassed the standards of an ordinary demon. He was enhanced by ancient magic and accumulated combat experience over thousands of years. In battle, he could lift a police car as if it were a toy, then transform it into a weapon to crush his opponent. When facing dangerous entities like Glonth, Etrigan showed no inferiority. On the contrary, he displayed astonishing dominance. Etrigan's true terror lay not only in his physical strength, but also in his unpredictable nature. He could be a savior one moment, but the next moment a terrifying threat. In battles that transcended planetary scales, even reaching cosmic levels, Etrigan stood firm as a living nightmare, incinerating everything with hellish flames and an unyielding will. Etrigan was not only physically powerful, but also possessed an incredibly keen sixth sense, allowing him to clearly perceive the presence of evil and supernatural forces around him. For him, darkness was not something to be avoided, but a familiar energy, almost an instinct ingrained in his soul. His demonic nature meant Etrigan was fearless of pain, even viewing it as a stimulating sensation, something that made him more exhilarated in battle. His sharp claws could tear through metal machines as if they were thin paper. More dangerously, thanks to his magical nature, these blows were powerful enough to inflict damage on almost invulnerable entities like Superman. Etrigan's power lies not only in physical strength, but is also amplified by ancient mystical energy. One of his most terrifying abilities is Hellfire. This flame is not simply fire, but carries the magical power to incinerate both the body and the very essence of his opponent. In many confrontations, even Superman has been significantly affected by this power. Furthermore, Etrigan can increase his body temperature to an extreme level, making his touch a weapon of destruction, capable of burning Batman's hand and melting the ground beneath his feet, creating deep fissures like gateways to hell. Etrigan's body also possesses unnatural and terrifying characteristics. He can rotate his head at angles unimaginable to humans, reminiscent of the haunting image of Regan McNeil in The Exorcist. Etrigan relies not only on his demonic instincts, but is also guided by Belial and empowered by Merlin. The combination of his hellish bloodline and ancient magic transforms him into an entity far beyond his limits. Etrigan is not just a warrior of hell, but also possesses prophetic abilities that make him exceptionally dangerous. He foresaw his encounter with Tommy Monahan as if time were merely a flow observable from the outside. Furthermore, Etrigan can enter the past and witness events unfolding in real time. Although he couldn't intervene or be detected, this observation gave him a tremendous strategic advantage, like an outsider understanding every move. Etrigan's summoning power was also a true nightmare. He could summon demons from hell or awaken armies of the undead from the dead. When the battlefield descended into chaos, Etrigan was never alone, for he could transform the entire Earth into a rising tide of darkness. He also unleashed massive shockwaves, tearing apart the surface of the terrain and causing violent eruptions, as if the Earth itself were forced to roar. Etrigan's ability to manipulate the environment was evident. He once imprisoned Merlin deep underground by melting rock and then quickly solidifying it into a perfect trap. He employed a similar tactic with Lobo, turning the surrounding environment into unbreakable shackles. Furthermore, Etrigan can create blinding beams of light to distract opponents at crucial moments, opening the way for a finishing blow. He can use magic to reverse time, bringing himself or others back to an earlier point in time. However, he cannot transcend his own timeline, as if bound by an ancient law that even he cannot break. Etrigan's cunning is also evident in his intelligence and manipulative abilities. He once deceived his own father by casting a spell on an animal spirit, turning a small creature into a tool for his schemes. This is not just power, but a cunning that is inherently demonic. When Etrigan acts, everything around him seems to be drawn into a dark drama, where every spell and every calculation is orchestrated with cold precision, leaving opponents only to realize their defeat when it is too late. The confrontation between Etrigan and Hulk. On one side was ancient, cunning, and unpredictable hellish magic. On the other was pure, boundless, and unquenchable rage. Etrigan capitalized on speed and surprise. His hellfire blazed fiercely, combining with ancient magic to create a barrage of attacks, inflicting initial damage on Hulk. His supernatural blows were powerful enough to penetrate ordinary defenses, giving the impression that Hulk was being pushed back. But that very moment proved a mistake. Hulk's anger began to simmer, erupting like a volcano about to erupt. The battle became more brutal than ever. Etrigan unleashed soul-corroding claw attacks, even attempting to banish his opponent to hell with magic. Yet Hulk did not fall. His body constantly regenerated, his wounds healing before they could deepen. The two forces exchanged devastating blows. If Etrigan unleashes punches with power comparable to symbols of strength like Superman, the Hulk responds with the force of a planet crashing down. The Hulk's rage escalates relentlessly, fueling a growth in power that spirals out of control. Etrigan's hellfire and magic gradually lose their effectiveness as the Hulk proves his ability to withstand high-level supernatural energies. Despite Etrigan's immortality, he is limited by his ability to keep up with his opponent. The Hulk, on the other hand, has no limits. With each passing second, he grows stronger. Etrigan can prolong the confrontation with his immortality and combat experience, but that's not enough to turn the tide. The Hulk is overwhelmingly superior in physical strength and potential for growth. When the battle reaches its climax, the Hulk's punches carry not only destructive power, but also the accumulated power of his boundless rage. And then, in an inevitable moment, Etrigan was completely overwhelmed, to the point of no time to recover. The ultimate winner was Hulk, by overwhelming margin. I hope you enjoyed this fight. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Follow me if you like it. That's today's video. Thank you very much.